Bills at Rams, opening night. How is it going to affect the NFC? How is it going to affect the AFC? The marquee matchups of Sunday, and who has the biggest upset potential as the dogs could be barking? I'm Pat Mayo, and this is The Huddle, presented by OddsChecker. But of course, it's not going to be just me, because who wants to see that? Not me, that's for sure. I want to hear from the panel, the gang that we've got compiled over here at OddsChecker on The Huddle. Ross Tucker, Brian Matthews, Pam Maldonado, opening with the first game of the year, Thursday Night Football. Bills at Rams, 14-2. The defending Super Bowl champions are on this opening night, but they haven't really covered all that often in any of the past 5 years. This game had been 2.5 for the Bills, the road team, most of the preseason. But Ross, it's now down to 2. Is there some love coming back for the Rams here?
I think so, and I'm not surprised by that at all, Pat. You know, I was actually surprised the Bills were as much of a favorite as they were. It's on the road. I know the Bills are the preseason Super Bowl favorites, but the Rams were the champs for a reason. They're on the road, are the Buffalo Bills. The real big difference between these teams from last year to this year is really Von Miller, right? Last year in the playoffs and Super Bowl, the Rams had Von Miller. They no longer have him. He's in Buffalo. And also the Rams lost left tackle Andrew Whitworth. They lost their right guard, Austin Corbett. But to me, this game is more of a toss-up or a pick-em game. I'm surprised that the Bills on the road at the defending Super Bowl champs are still favored like they are.
Pam, Ross brings up something pretty interesting here with the Bills as the overall Super Bowl favorite right now. And do you think that's impacting the line at all? That people are like, oh, well, the Bills are 5-1 to win the Super Bowl. Of course they should be favored in this game. Not really taking into consideration part of the reason that the Bills are the outright favorites is, yeah, they're one of the 6 best teams in the league, but they probably play in the easiest division of all those 6 teams. So their path to the 1 seed, thus not having to play around in the first round of the playoffs, you know, gets them fewer games to get to the Super Bowl. Like, that is a big part of why they are the favorites right now.
I mean, if you think about sports betting options, what do the general public like to do? They like to bet overs and they like to bet favorites. So you see somebody like Josh Allen, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Absolutely. It is still very fresh in my mind, which means it is very fresh in everybody else's mind. That insane rally that we saw between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen last season. People are going to see that and remember that moment and think, oh yeah, if he can do that to Mahomes and the Chiefs in their home stadium, absolutely they can go ahead and do that to the Super Bowl champs. And there is a thing between, what do they say, that there's the Super Bowl hangover that you have, but then you threw out a stat that the defending champs are 14-2 straight up at home at opening night and all time. I have to agree with that sentiment along the way, because you have Josh Allen, fantastic. We have yet to see what he can do, what he can be, what type of quarterback he can produce himself as without Brian Daboll. He's going to be a big key factor in this. You don't have an offensive coordinator anymore who groomed you from a Wyoming quarterback to the quarterback that you are now. That's the big question mark for me. And I don't really, all the other injuries and the players coming back and the coaching changes and the staff and the players, all that matters. But more so for me, it's going to be, who is Josh Allen without Brian Daboll?
Brian, the Ravens went full-on New Age Outlaws in 2013. They were 7.5-point road dogs, and they got beat down by the Broncos 49-27. The Broncos were 3-point home dogs against the Panthers in 2016. They won that game straight up. So now we have the third instance of the defending Super Bowl champion being an underdog at home in this opening game. Here's the thing, though. I still kind of like the Bills. What are you thinking?
My tendency is on this one actually to lean toward the Rams. I just think with Sean McVay, and I get the Buffalo angle, I think with Tre'Davious White, missing this game, I think that'll have a larger impact than most think. But I also think, too, Sean McVay is the type of coach to get his guys ready for any challenge. No game is, a Passover game. Obviously, having the Bills week 1, that's as big as it gets. I think he'll have his guys ready. They're at home. I know they lost Von Miller, but it all starts and ends with Aaron Donald up front. He's incredibly disruptive, making all the players around him much better. So I actually have the Rams in a tight game. I do agree with Ross. This one might as well be a throw-up. Pick them.
Ross, what do you make of the Bills' ability to bring pressure here with sort of the new look offensive line? Because, I mean, so much of my betting strategy throughout the year is just like, okay, who has a good pass rush versus a weaker offensive line? Like, do you think this is going to be a weak-ish offensive line for the Rams now?
I don't know that I'd say weakish. I think Noteboom will be fine. I don't think he's as good as Whitworth at left tackle, but he played enough that I think he'll be fine. I think right guard is sort of the question mark in my mind, more so even than left tackle for the Rams. And you look at the Bills, Ed Oliver was amazing this preseason. I mean, he looked like he was a new man. I think Gregory Rousseau in year 2 will take a step. And I think just the presence of Von Miller on the other side of Rousseau and all those guys learning from Von Miller, I'm a big believer. And once you have even just adding one more guy, you're not going to want to have Von Miller one-on-one. So if you're thinking about double teaming him, that creates other one-on-one opportunities for the other guys. I do think that's why the Bills went out and spent as much money as they did on Von Miller. I think for games like this that are close games late, Von Miller is a closer. The Bills have him, the Rams don't.
Of course, we're here for the picks. I'm taking the Bills, -2. Brian's taking probably the Rams' money line, but at least +2 is where he's going. Ross, who you got?
Oh, this is a tough one for me. I'm going to ultimately lay the 2 with the Bills, but I don't know that I feel great about it. It's more about the number than anything else.
Pam, we got 2 Bills, 1 Rams. You want to even it out?
No. How about I turn to a player prop instead and stay away from who's going to come out with a win and look to the under rushing yards prop for Josh Allen? You have the head coach in Sean McDermott. He's already saying that he wants to run the ball more, but run Josh Allen less. In either defense, I mean, you're facing against a Rams team who is top 5 in rushing defense last season. So I'm going to end without Brian Dable. So I'm going to take that for what it's worth and take the under rushing yards for Josh Allen.
Well, let's move on to the big picture in the AFC. And so much of the AFC is framed around the Bills. They have the highest win total. They're the Super Bowl favorites. They're the favorites to win the AFC right now. But maybe they're not everything they're cracked up to be. I think that they are, but Brian, you're already picking them to lose week 1. Let's say they get off to a bad start here. How do the Bills factor in to the overall outlook of the AFC, and who are the real challengers? Because it seems like everyone in the NFC West is a potential challenger. Maybe Indy. The North is kind of up in flux. Who do you see as being the main rival to the Bills to be the 1 seed?
I think the Bills really are the beginning and end in that conference. Although I am interested to see the AFC North, which was a strong conference. I'll be interested to see Baltimore and how they perform. But I think really, from top to bottom, as far as the team is concerned, I think Buffalo, is constructed about as well as you can right now. They've got a great offense. I'm excited to see Gabriel Davis, in his new role. So I think really everything kind of starts and ends with them.
Pam, is there anyone in the AFC East at least that can give the Bills a little bit of heat, try to catch up to them?
Yeah, absolutely. How about, the Miami Dolphins? Are we kind of over? I'm not the biggest fan of Tua Tagovailoa, but let's be honest, they have like a really great receiving core right now. And if Tua can stay upright, which is always going to be the problem, they have redefined that offensive line unit a little bit. So if he can stay upright, now you're passing to, Jalen Waddle by himself is going to be fantastic. You have Tyreek Hill, Cedric Wilson, all 3 players were top 35 in receiver separation. This is a new head coach in Mike McDaniel, who's coming off a Kyle Shanahan offense. And that team was first in yards after the catch for 4 straight seasons. I'm really interested to see what the Dolphins can do as an offensive unit. It's just a matter of, can Tua produce the way we hope he can?
Ross, it's funny with the Dolphins because it feels like teams with very poor open field tackling are going to get absolutely torched by them. But they also kind of remind me of like Ravens playoff years where like the Ravens just always remind me of such a front running team that they're sort of like a snowball rolling downhill. Once they get the momentum going, they score 1 touchdown, then they're just going to run it down your throats. And they beat the crap out of really bad teams all the time. Competitive against good teams, but they're not exactly the team that you want down 10 with like 4 minutes left. They don't move the ball that way. You feel like the Dolphins, even though they have these big playmakers, that with Tua at the helm, that if they get behind and it's late, it's going to be hard for them to catch up?
Well, we just haven't seen Tua do it that much, right? I was impressed with what I saw from him in the preseason. He did play against the Eagles in that last game. And I've got a lot of faith in Mike McDaniel, the new head coach for the Dolphins. You look at the track record for guys from that Shanahan tree, the last few years, the Zach Taylor, Sean McVay, Matt LaFleur. I mean, these are the best teams in the NFL. These are the teams going to the Super Bowl. These are the teams that have success. So I do think if it's ever going to happen for Tua, it will be this year. It will be with Mike McDaniel. But you're right, Pat, in the sense that we haven't seen the Dolphins, and Tua in particular, have to come from behind a lot and show that he can do that. Doesn't mean he can't do it. But even Alabama, it felt like they were in the lead a lot. Even the one SEC championship game when they came from behind, that was Jalen Hurts after Tua got hurt.
Feels like I kind of crapped on Lamar in the Ravens there. I'm not, because I do want to talk win totals, and I think my favorite AFC win total, so that's maybe the Jags, but that's just more, a hunch. The Ravens still almost got to their win total a year ago, and they had no healthy players by the end of the year. They come into this season incredibly healthy. So, Ross, do you have a favorite win total in the AFC? Because mine is going to be Ravens over 9.5.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Ravens over 9.5 as well. Absolutely. Look, you said it, Pat. They lost so many people last year. Now, I will say this. I think the Lamar Jackson contract issue is a very interesting one. If it prolongs into the season, I think they've made a deadline of the first game. So if that's hanging over his head, I don't know if that means he ends up playing better as a result, or if potentially, the pressure of that gets to him a little bit. But yeah, I think that the Ravens, to me, they're clearly the class of the AFC North. And no disrespect to what the Bengals did last year. I think the Bengals still have a good team. But I agree. I think that the Ravens are poised for a major bounce back year. Their over win total is one of the ones that I like the most.
Brian, I just heard, and maybe it's not exactly the words he used, but Bengals suck. Ross Tucker. Do you agree?
No, I agree with Ross. To paraphrase there, as far as they're going to have a lot. They're no longer coming, in the position of being slept on, right? Everyone knows who they are. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they, align and get those pieces together. But the Ravens were my favorite one there. I did forget to mention a team in the AFC I am looking forward to watching, and that is the Chargers. They'll get a lot of pieces back that are healthy. Hopefully on the defensive side too, they can remain healthy with Derwin James and Bosa. And I'll be interested to see if they can keep Eckler, healthy the whole year. Herbert's really taken off, and I think he's going to be a major player in the picture in the end.
Pam, if the Chargers were just a team that you played on Madden all the time, it feels like they'd be 17-0, but we see weird stuff happen with the Chargers every year. Do you like the Chargers over under on their win total, and how do you think they'll fare in the NFC West? Or AFC West.
You're talking about a Chargers team that they have playmakers on both offense, on defense. If you're talking about complete team, the Chargers are it. So how with this roster do they not have such a great season under their belt? I'm more so interested in backing Justin Herbert to have the most passing yards in the league at 7-1 odds. As a rookie, you're talking about Herbert, who is 6th in passing yards with over 4,300, ahead of quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, behind only Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady. I mean, in his second year, he had an even better season, 2nd in passing yards. And that's because Tom Brady decided to, I'm going to play a really hard AF schedule against passing defenses, and I'm still going to find a way to lead incompletions, passing attempts, passing touchdowns. So in his third year, Herbert has a chance here to improve. Under pressure, he's the 12th most pressured, and he's still one of the best quarterbacks out there. He still finished 2nd in passing. Now he has more experience. He has the coaching, 2nd year with offensive coordinator in Joe Lombardi. They have a really soft schedule as far as passing defenses go. And in the first 7 games, they're playing against the Chiefs, the Seattle, 6 teams that are ranked 19th or worse in passing defense. So if I like a team to do well in their division, in their conference, and make the playoffs, then I'm definitely looking to a quarterback like Justin Herbert to lead in a stat like most passing yards and try to opt for some of that plus money options. So 7-1, I like him to really take charge this season.
Well, here's the issue. They can be complete on offense. They complete on defense, but they don't have a complete doctor staff. So Lord knows what's going to happen to these guys. They stub their toe.
Absolutely. But we'll see what happens. It's a great team, great receivers, and awesome quarterback.
All right, well, Pam, let's stick with you and move over to the NFC. Is there any win total that does stick out to you as, hey, that's value right there? And listen, we can't say Bears under 6.5 anymore because that's like minus 5,000 at this point.
Okay, so how about the Falcons taking the under on them? If I like the under on what's their season win total, 4.5, I'm gonna also back them to have the worst regular season record at 4-1 odds. Your quarterback options are Marcus Mariota, who had the third most interceptions back in 2017, and he's played 18 games combined in the last 3 seasons. Or you have a rookie quarterback in Desmond Ritter, and they are projected to play the fifth hardest schedule of passing defenses. I am just super down on the Falcons this season. It has been ugly. There hasn't been much good, and it's going to get even worse this season. So I will take the under on the Falcons and the worst regular season record at 4-1.
Hard disagree. You go and find the 8-1 on Falcons to make the playoffs right now. They were god awful last year and won 7 games, Brian. Can you be the middleman on this? Like, what are the Falcons going to do? Because over 4.5 sounds pretty juicy.
Yeah, over 4.5 does sound juicy. I have to be honest, though. They, a lot of pieces are gone, but I do think that Mariota might be, and I know that coming from the same Titans team, but I think he might be this year's kind of surprise quarterback as far as, everyone's written him off. He's had some time and really was used in running packages. Under 4.5, that might be tough, but to be honest with you, they're going to be looking to feature a whole new group of guys. Lost some playmakers outside, relying on a lot of rookies. So it could be tough sledding.
It's just funny to me, Ross. Like, it's funny that we're talking about Atlanta, out of all things, who are plus 5.5 this week. I like them to beat the Saints this week because the Saints are the ultimate. Hey, when you think they're going to win, they're probably going to lose. And when they're going to lose, they're probably going to win. But like, when you look at Atlanta's defense, like you have Hayward and Terrell on the outside, like very few teams are going to possess outside corners that effective. And with London, with Pitts, with Cordero, it does seem like they have enough playmakers to skate by. It feels like they're going to be one of those offenses that scores big touchdowns and goes 3 and out at a time.
Yeah, Pat, they're going to be bad, man. They're going to be a bad team.
No.
Yes, thank you.
I will bet it with all of you right now.
No, listen. I still think they got a good chance to win 5 or 6 games, and that would hit the over. So I'm not taking the under 4.5. That number's too low. I thought Mariota and the Falcons looked better in the preseason than I was expecting. But I can't jump on what you were saying, Pat. Pat, you're making it sound like they're going to the playoffs or the Super Bowl. That is not happening. You name the only 2 good players on defense other than Grady Jarrett. They're going to have major issues. They're not a good football team. I'd be stunned if they won 8 games. I think they probably win 5 or 6, so I still would lean to the over.
You're thinking winning 5 or 6 games. I'm thinking maybe covering the spread in 5 or 6 games because we're all talking about the offense. But yeah, Ross is making good points about the defense. And look at the quarterbacks that they'll be expected to face. Matthew Stafford, Tom Brady twice, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. And that's just to name a few. This defense is going to tire and then the offense won't be able to produce. You can't run the ball. You got to learn how to throw it. So Mariota is not the guy for that offense to progress.
That is such slander for the former number 2
underdogs in all 17 games.
I mean, they really shouldn't be when you do look. I mean, really, Carolina is markedly better than Atlanta is. Come on.
Won 7 games decided by 1 score or less. I mean, you can really roll the punches here with the Falcons. You can name one bad point after the other.
I'm just saying that in an NFC that is incredibly weak at the back end, after you get past the big 4 teams, you should just be value hunting for whatever long shot that we're all wrong about is going to go. You have pedigree with Mariota, you have playmakers, and all of a sudden, if Carolina sucks, which they probably will, everyone's convinced that a Jameis Dennis Allen Saints are going to be good. Not me. Not a chance. So now we're into a situation where is Arizona going to be good? Maybe not. Seattle's going to suck. Detroit, everyone likes them. They're probably not any good. The Bears look like they're terrible. We're running out of teams here. 7 teams make the playoffs. I'm telling you, 8-1 is not the craziest thing in the world. You come back to me after they beat the Saints in week 1. We'll reassess what the win total is. Unfortunately, that's not going to make the marquee matchups of Sunday. At least that's not what I'm thinking here is going to be Saints at Falcons. But we will be previewing the biggest marquee matchups of Sunday. The great thing about the NFL is now we can watch all of the games, preferably at once. So there are marquee matchups, and all of us have differing opinions on this. Are the Saints Falcons my marquee matchup? I mean, it could be Jags Commanders for all you know, but we're not here to talk about what I'm seeing as the marquee matchup. Brian, what is the game, the player matchup, the coaching matchup that interests you the most this Sunday?
I think I've got to stick with drama here. So week 1, I think the most interesting storyline for me is easily Baker Mayfield against the Browns. we know that it was a long, drawn-out situation with Cleveland, as they try to find a new quarterback. And, I'm very interested to see, we've heard the sound bites from Baker, but I think that'll be a great matchup as far as, him wanting to come out and establish himself and say, hey, look, I should have been the guy who was hurt last year, as opposed to the Browns defense, which, got a great defensive front seven and secondary as well. So I expect them to bring it to Baker, and I'm actually excited for the fireworks in that game.
Pam, do you have a player-by-player matchup, a game-by-game matchup? Because I was, thinking Giants-Titans, because the Giants are the most publicly backed underdog of the week, and I was like, that seems stupid, but I don't really want to watch that game. It's not super marquee. So is there anything that you can see that sticks out to you as your marquee? What are we putting up on the banner?
It's going to be my marquee, but I don't know about everybody else. But I am interested in what happens between the Patriots and the Dolphins, who are 3-point home favorites, because I love Mac Jones as a quarterback, second-year quarterback. I was on him to win the Heisman. It didn't come to fruition. I was on him to win Rookie of the Year. It didn't come to fruition. Now he's starting as a second-year QB, and now I want to see how he goes up against this Miami defense. But along with the same thing on the flip side, I really want to see, we're talking so much about Tua Tagovailoa. How is he going to match up against this New England Patriots defense who held Justin Herbert last year to under 250 yards passing, forced 2 interceptions? So if we're talking about Tua here has the potential to do something really good this season, how is it going to match up? He has new weapons. New England, they have the best receiving weapon is who? Devontae Parker. So that's really interesting to me. The offensive line is really vulnerable. Miami has one of the best pass rushes coming into the year. They let in the pressure rate last year. And so I really want to see, can the Dolphins, at least at home in week 1, when everyone is healthy, live up to the hype that is coming into the new season?
Bill Belichick said that Ty Montgomery and Isaiah Wynn are both traveling with the team to Miami, but there's no word yet on whether or not they are going to actually suit up and be on the field on Sunday. So that's probably going to be a very last-second active-inactive report. So pay attention to that, because I think if Wynn plays, you might see that the point spread shift a little bit, maybe a half point, maybe a full point, down towards the Patriot and drop it below a field goal. But Ross, what's the marquee matchup for you, my man?
It's got to be Bucks Cowboys. How is nobody saying Bucks Cowboys so far? I mean, it's Sunday Night Football. You've got the Cowboys hosting Tom Brady, and I'm fascinated by this game for a couple of different reasons. Number one, they both have O-line issues. The Bucks are going to start a center who's in his second year, who's never played center before. They got a rookie at left guard. We all know, and I know from having played with him, that Tom Brady highly values firmness in the middle of the pocket. That's very much a question mark now for this Bucks team. Meanwhile, for the Cowboys, they lose their left tackle, Tyron Smith. So both these teams have major O-line issues coming into the season. Can't wait to see which one does a better job of patching it up, fixing it, getting it ready, because these are two teams that have double-digit season win totals. Hard to get there if you lose the first game. So to me, it's clearly Bucks Cowboys. Can't wait.
So let's get to the underdogs of the week. I mean, I've already given you the Falcons. Am I going to guarantee it's a winner? Yeah, but I'm always wrong. So don't take my guarantees with anything. So Ross, let's go back to you here. And I don't want to hear like the Vikings as like a plus 110 underdog. You got any like legit like Texans, Bears? You got any of those crazy underdogs?
No, I'm not going like a crazy any of those high spread ones, but I'll take, how about the Raiders? They're getting 3.5 against the Chargers. I kind of like the Raiders getting the 3.5. We talked about it a little bit earlier. The Chargers, to me, are perpetually overrated. I'll believe it when I see it. They have the third highest odds to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC. The Chargers? Since when? When have they done anything to be deserving of that? Yes, they've got a lot of really well-known star players that make a lot of money. It has not happened on the field for them on a consistent basis. Meanwhile, the Raiders now have Devontae Adams, and they have the unknown of not really knowing what Josh McDaniels, the new head coach, is going to do with Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and that offense. Plus, we all know there will be more Raiders fans than Chargers fans at that game on Sunday without any question. So there's no home field advantage. So for the Raiders to be getting 3.5 when they're essentially the home team, I love the silver and black getting those points.
Ross, are the Chargers the spreadsheet all-stars?
Yes, they are. And you know what? They're now even more the apple of the eye of the people that love the data and numbers, and I do, and I can clearly tell that Pamela does, and that's great. I like the data as well, but that doesn't mean, Brandon Staley has these press conferences, and he says everything that everybody wants to hear the head coach say. That's great. They still didn't make the playoffs last year with Justin Herbert healthy for every game. I think they'll be a good team this year. I think they'll win 9 or 10 games, but this Super Bowl contender thing, they're going to have to walk before they run.
Brian, is it possible to win the Super Bowl when you're going to lose at least 4 games by some sort of ridiculous missed kick, blocked punt throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, at that point, with the Chargers' luck at this point, it's going to be pretty tough. But, I mean, to allude to what Ross said, I mean, there is no home field advantage for the Chargers anywhere that they play. Whether, it was in Carson, now moving over. I mean, they really, wherever they go, they're outnumbered. So that is a tough uphill climb, especially when you're supposed to be playing with a home field advantage.
Teams that won 4, 5, or 6 games the year previous are 66% against the spread as underdogs in week 1 of the next season. That would leave the Jets, the Bears, the Texans, and the Giants all qualifying for that. Brian, are any of those underdogs the one that you're going with?
Nah, I can't buy into the Giants hype. I'm going to be honest with you. I know there are, a lot of people expecting quite a bit from them, but I still, think there's a lot to be desired from them. Those aren't the ones that I'm going with, Pat.
Well, who are you going with?
Are you talking about favorite upset here?
Yeah.
I mean, it was Raiders Chargers. Ross got out from under that. I'm excited to see, what the new look team, looks like with Devontae Adams. You still have Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, and then Max Williams on that defensive side. But I do agree that they do have the element of surprise and not really an established playbook going into week 1. So scouting the team can be a little difficult.
So we got Raiders. Pam, you like the Chargers, so I doubt you're going with the Raiders. And obviously you hate the Falcons, so it can't be the Falcons. Who is the upset team here in week 1?
Well, I was going to go with the Vikings until you said, don't give me none of that plus 110 nonsense. But just to throw it out there, the Vikings 7-2 against the spread as a home underdog. They no longer have Mike Zimmer. Thank goodness. This should be an improved offense. And you have Justin Jefferson. I mean, that's all you need. So instead, I will go with the ugly dog that nobody is going to want to touch. And it's the Giants plus 5.5. And simply for something that Brian also mentioned, that it's a surprise factor. You have Brian Daboll as a new head coach. You have a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. And the Titans last season, they went 13-4 in 1-score games. That is regression to the means. That was the second best rate in the NFL. And Ryan Tannehill was one of my favorite prop plays to make every single week, going under on his passing yards prop. And he had only 2 300-yard games last season. I need a quarterback that's going to be able to throw. I think actually Daniel Jones is the better quarterback when it comes to passing yards. So I will go with the Giants. Could just revamp everything, be a surprise factor, and why not pull out the plus 215 money line?
There we go. Well, you got the Giants. I got the Falcons. We'll both meet each other back here next week with lost money and try to move on to the next one. Ross, I had a question about the Giants' offensive line because even with the injuries they've already sustained on defense, Tennessee still projects at least to have a top half of the league pass rush. They were top 10 in adjusted sack rate last year. Like, is this a situation where they just might be in the backfield the entire time and the Giants won't be able to get anything going?
No, I actually look. The Titans still have a good D line. The Harold Landry torn ACL, that's rough. I mean, that is really rough. Thought he was their best edge rusher, but they still have some mooses inside like Jeffrey Simmons. I do think the Giants' O-line will be improved with some of the vets that they brought in addition to Evan Neal. I kind of like the Giants getting the points in this one. I think the Titans are in a bad way. The Landry loss. Obviously, trading A.J. Brown. To me, the Titans are a team that are poised to take a pretty big step back. That's a lot of points to be given the G-men. I am actually going to lean to the Giants getting the 5.5.
So once again, it worries me that the Giants are the most publicly backed underdog right now. 77% of the money on the Giants plus 5.5 against the Titans. The Steelers are also publicly backed, and the Texans were publicly backed at plus 8. That's down to 7.5 in some places now. which should really start to worry the people putting together teasing by 6, teasing by 7, and something we're going to talk about right now, pleasers and teasers. I want to have a roundtable discussion about this because I'm looking at the Colts, tease them down 7 points, tease down the Ravens 7 points, and tease down the 49ers 7 points, Pam, and we got a stew going. How can we lose?
The Colts, they are 0-8 in week 1 since 2014. They are 1-11 since 2010. I mean, that is, I don't care how good the Colts are expected to be. I don't care how much improved. Yes, you have Matt Ryan. I talked about him earlier. He's exciting. A great team, potentially. That is a terrible record. 0-8 in week 1 since 2014. That's straight up. And teasers, they are a hefty price. You're paying a little bit of extra juice to get this. So no, I would not be putting the Colts on a teaser at all. Back off. There are other options.
Brian, I'm just trying to play NFL logic for a second. Now, the Colts absolutely demolished the Texans both times. I think the Texans are actually potentially worse this year than they were last year. Far more rookies, far fewer early 30s vets who just have a very good floor, know how to play football. Now you're throwing it up with some late round draft picks who they might be better, but they could be a lot worse. And they definitely don't know how to be professionals from the outset. So everyone is saying, the Texans over the Colts. I'm actually thinking, because I think the Niners smashed the Bears, that the Bears are the one who screwed this up for us.
The Bears 49ers game is actually one I'm interested in. I think, Trey Lance, we don't really know what to expect from him. In the limited sample sizes that we did get last year, it looked like he had happy feet. Now, he is a rookie quarterback, and he's in a quarterback-friendly system, so I think that will help him out. But, I don't see the Bears taking this one. I've seen the talk of, Justin Fields being improved, but, they're going to have to show it to me on the field before I buy into that Bears hype. So I don't think they're the one that breaks this up.
Well, Ross, do you have any worries about any of these teams? Because I really do feel like this is going to be the most popular 3-team teaser of the week.
Yeah, I prefer, Pat, to go through the key numbers of 3 and 7 as much as possible. So some of the teaser legs I like this week, I like Cleveland. I mean, who is Carolina to be laying 2.5 points to anybody? You can tease the Cleveland up to 8.5. Get through the 7, get through the 3, even get through the 8. Love Cleveland as a teaser leg. I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, and Pamela mentioned it. I like the Vikings going up to 7.5 and getting through the numbers of 3 and 7. That's another teaser leg that I like. And even the Rams, Thursday night, getting from 2 up to 8. I think the Bills have a great chance to win that game. I don't think they win by 2 scores. So those are the teaser legs I prefer. Although I understand your thought process of, hey, I got 3 pretty heavy favorites. I just need them all to cash in. And I do think the Colts will win that game. I actually think the Colts are a pretty good team to tease down.
Colts, you can most definitely tease down. I wasn't joking about the minus 28. I played that earlier in the week, Pam. Colts minus 28, 8-1.
Hey, I like it. I would also go with the Vikings at +7. I mean, they're 10-17-1 all time versus Rodgers-led Packers. But the Vikings have won and covered 4 of the last 6 at home, and they lost 8 of their 9 games by a score less last year. So that's one leg, absolutely. The one that I would pair it up with is taking the Ravens down to -1, because it's really easy for me when it comes to the Baltimore Ravens. It's week 1. Is everyone healthy? Yes. Check. Is the Jets quarterback still either Zach Wilson or Joe Flacco? Yes. Check. Then I'm going to tease down the Ravens down to -1 and pair it with the Vikings at +7 to keep it home, keep it close at home.
Brian, do you have any particular leg that you really do love this week that you're like, hey, give me an extra 7 points there and we're good?
It's got to be the Colts, Texans. I know we're kind of looping back, but to me, I feel like the Texans got worse over the offseason and the Colts got better. No one can tell me that Matt Ryan isn't an upgrade from Carson Wentz. And I'm not saying, it's exponential, but when you can eliminate those, forward shuffle passes for interceptions and mistakes, I think they become an even more dangerous team paired with the fact that Jonathan Taylor can run it on, really anybody he wants to with that offensive line they've got in place.
Yeah, I mean, just they're so solid at every single level. But here's the funny thing, Brian. This is a point I've been trying to make in the offseason, is that I agree Matt Ryan is a substantial is probably a strong word over Carson Wentz, but he's far more competent. But everything that you talk about is like, but why I hate Carson Wentz so much. Oh, I'm being sacked. You know what I should do? Switch it to my left hand and try to alley-oop it over someone. But all of these contested balls that he threw, all the left-handed passes, they never actually hurt him last year. So many dropped interceptions. The ball rolls out of bounds. Like, he didn't actually turn over the ball as much as anyone who watched the games would have thought that would have happened. It was kind of insane. And their passing touchdown rate inside the red zone was off the charts good. So it's weird that although on paper the Colts got a lot better, for Matt Ryan to actually be better than what Carson Wentz did last year is actually going to be pretty tough, I think.
I think that's an interesting way to look at it. I think, too, you look at Pittman's emerging, and you've got now, a guy where he can go to a big body receiver, much in the mold of and I'm not saying athletically the same, but a big body receiver out there that he can go to, which he's shown that he likes to do. And I think the great equalizer is the fact that they can line up and run the ball really on anybody that they want to. And I think that was the point of emphasis last year with Carson Wentz. It's like, if you limit the turnovers, you can run the ball on anyone. You've got a very good defense. You can at least keep these games close. You've just got to eliminate, the boneheaded plays. And that was something that he could never do, at least last year.
All right, well, that's going to do it for week 1 on the Huddle, presented by OddsChecker. I want to thank Ross Tucker, Pam Maldonado, and Brian Matthews for being on. We're going to see you next week. So remember to continue to stay tuned to everything that OddsChecker is doing for week 1 in the preparation for opening kickoff. You got to get the action down now, all right? I'm Pat Mayo, and before I let you go, I wanted to tell you about some awesome offers we have here at OddsChecker. First off, I wanted to let you know that our premium exclusive gambling experience, My OC Premium, has officially launched. For less than just $1 a day, you can have all the tools and picks you need to come away from this NFL season with some serious cash. With over 40 NFL picks each and every week and exclusive access to our top handicappers, from Dead Prez Picks and Brian Matthews to John Hyslop and That Guy Bets, My OC Premium gives you everything you need for your next week. So don't delay. Sign up for My OC Premium using the link in the description. Let's make your next win your biggest one yet. I also wanted to tell you about a giveaway we're doing on our Instagram page. Do you want $100? If you said no, I can't help you. If you said yes, all you gotta do is follow us on Instagram at OddsCheckerUS and like our pinned post to automatically enter. It's that easy. Like and follow to enter, and you could come away with $100. And hey, why not throw that right into your My OC Premium fund to come away with even more cash? You must be 21 or older, U.S. resident to enter.